We'll now turn to a few questions from our shareholders before opening up the call. We received a few questions on AI. How will Palantir differentiate its AI offerings from others, including the model creators? And how is Aip different, and how will Palantir maintain its competitive edge?
Well, Alex talked about how the models, the LLMs, are commoditized. But if you look at the models, you see that they're getting better, which is awesome. But they're also getting more similar across both closed and open source models. While they're improving, they're converging upon each other, all while the price of inference is dropping precipitously. And that's, so if you even look at these model companies, they have to build applications around these models to extract value. That's where we have a decade-long head start. We've been building the forge to create and implement AI applications at scale throughout the enterprise. And that differentiation starts with the ontology. Using the ontology to drive Aip across these applications. When you look at the legacy software companies, I'm not sure they understand it yet, but when you look at the innovative Silicon Valley companies, they recognize the wall of tech investments this implies that's in front of them that's going to act like a great filter.
I would say, kind of an addendum to that, well, first of all, I think people are beginning to recognize we were right, and these numbers show it. So that creates a dynamic of, okay, well, if you can actually extract value from large language models in any context, then clearly the company that does it is very valuable. And a lot of our customers, even a year ago, they were kind of skeptical of, can you make these things useful? I would say most of the customers I deal with are pretty skeptical. You can make large language models do anything but do a science experiment. And in a weird way, even though the models are improving, they're meeting up against greater skepticism among clients because clients have tried them and it's just a high school experiment. And then if you get to, so it's like the market and analysts seem to have put a lot of credibility into the models, and we do too. We think they're very valuable when managed correctly, when used in a way that an enterprise can understand. And one of the problems that people have is if you're not involved in enterprise software, it's very hard to understand how an enterprise actually works. You cannot take a large language model that gives you an ELO score of 1,200 and use it on targeting on the battlefield. There's a security model. There's a way in which the data is understood. There's certain things you can't share. There's places you would use certain models but not others. How do you bring that back to your corpus of truth to understand in a lethal context who dies and who doesn't? And you have very similar use cases in underwriting and in healthcare. And so understanding the actual way technically enterprise is driven as embodied by Foundry, as embodied by our abstraction layer on top of Foundry, which includes all those nuances, which we call an ontology, as powered by Aip, are all sorts of things that our clients are beginning to discover every day. Of course, the main way they're discovering it is, holy shit, I can do this in an hour that used to take 5 hours, or 50 hours, or I could have 2,000 people, or 20 and 10. And by the way, on the targeting on the battlefield, we've talked about basically 2 orders of magnitude in reduction of people, but it's also in many cases 2 orders of magnitude in the production of your ability to do things in an efficacious manner. There are whole global events now that would be very different without our ability to manage these things in our infrastructure. And that's obviously generating a lot of excitement internally that spills into our earnings.